We live in interesting times on tonight's headlines. French police have shot dead the man who attacked Strasbourg's Christmas market. A 7-year-old Guatemalan girl died in American custody after being detained by U.S. Border Police in New Mexico. British Prime Minister Theresa May returns to face EU leaders for the second day of a Brussels summit after they rebuffed her attempts to win further concessions on a Brexit deal. And Virgin Galactic Spaceship Two VSS Unity flies higher than ever before, surpassing what the U.S. Air Force considers the boundary of space and marking the first manned flight to space from U.S. soil since 2011.
Complete.
I'm Alma Angeles, wherever you're watching from around the world. Thank you very much for joining us, and now to the news. The gunman who killed 3 people at a Christmas market in Strasbourg was shot dead by French police on Thursday. More than 700 French security forces had been hunting for 29-year-old Sheriff Checot since the bloodshed on Tuesday night, the latest in a string of jihadist attacks to rock France. Interior Minister Christophe Castaner said 3 police tried to question Checot after spotting him on the street in the Neudorf area of the northeastern French city where he grew up, but he opened fire.
Je suis venu remercier, féliciter nos forces de sécurité qui sont totalement mobilisées, totalement engagées. Vous le savez, dans un contexte difficile, de nombreux conflits, de nombreuses manifestations font que nos forces, depuis de longues semaines, sont mobilisées pour protéger les Français dans le cadre des conflits sociaux et des gilets jaunes, pour protéger les gilets jaunes dans toutes les manifestations organisées. Et pourtant, quand on est confronté à des actes aussi violents que celui qui a frappé la France, qui a frappé Strasbourg mardi, ils savent répondre présent.
Dozens of police vehicles converged on the area where police were applauded after the shooting. Bravo, some shouted as people gathered at the police cordon. Authorities published Checot's picture late Wednesday with police describing him as dangerous and urging people not to approach him. A 5th person was detained by police for questioning on Thursday, in addition to suspects' parents and 2 brothers who have been in custody since Wednesday. Taking a look back at about 8 o'clock local time, 8 p.m., a man opened fire close to the famed Christmas market near Place Kleber, which attracts thousands of visitors. France's anti-terror prosecutor Remy Heidt said the man had shouted Allahu Akbar as he opened fire. The suspect was armed with a gun and a knife and escaped the area after calling a taxi. And as he fled, he came into contact with 4 soldiers, according to Heights, and began firing at them. The soldiers fired back, apparently hitting him in the arm. The attacker boasted to the taxi driver that he had killed 10 people and also said he had been injured during a firefight with soldiers. He ordered the taxi driver to drop him near the police station in Neudorf. When he got out of the vehicle, he fired at police officers before escaping. Checot was born in Strasbourg and was already known to the security services. He was the subject of a Fish S, a watch list of people who represent a potential threat to national security. He had 27 convictions for crimes including robbery, spanning France, Germany, and Switzerland. He had also spent considerable time in prison as a result. Police were seeking him on Tuesday morning in connection with another case, but did not find him at home. A search of his apartment in Neudorf revealed a grenade, a rifle, 4 knives, 2 of which were hunting knives and ammunition. ISIS claimed him as one of its soldiers. Meanwhile, shopkeepers on Rue des Cerebrats in France's eastern city of Strasbourg recalled what they saw on the day when the gunman attacked Christmas shoppers at the market and killed 3 people. Take a look.
Il était encore debout, je l'ai allongé, Je lui ai mis la main sur le ventre parce que elle avait mal au ventre. En fait, elle a eu un coup de couteau au niveau du ventre. Je l'ai allongée, je lui ai mis un oreiller histoire de lever un petit peu la tête. Je lui ai mis les mains au niveau de son estomac.
Mon fils est arrivé en hurlant qu'il y avait des coups de feu dans la rue et qu'il ne fallait pas sortir, qu'il ne fallait plus sortir. Donc nous sommes vite montés à l'étage, dans l'appartement de mon beau-père à l'étage, et là on a vu effectivement que la rue était vide, tous les badauds étaient partis en courant et il ne restait que des corps allongés dans la rue.
Now, one of the 5 seriously injured in this attack has been declared brain dead, according to the Paris prosecutor's office on Thursday. The death of Kamal Nakband, a garage mechanic originally from Afghanistan, was announced on Thursday. Meanwhile, a retired bank worker aged 61 from Strasbourg was also killed in the attack, according to media reports. The third victim was a Thai tourist who was on holiday with his wife. To other news now, a 7-year-old Guatemalan girl died in American custody after being detained by U.S. Border Police in New Mexico, according to the Washington Post. The girl, who illegally crossed the border from Mexico, along with her father and dozens of others, died last week of dehydration and shock. She had reportedly not eaten or consumed water for several days. Now on Thursday, the Washington Post reported that she had suffered seizures after being detained last weekend along with her father and was taken by helicopter to a children's hospital in El Paso. In less than 24 hours after she was admitted, she suffered a cardiac arrest. The name of the girl and her father have not been released. The father is in El Paso, Texas, awaiting a meeting with Guatemalan consular officials, which said it's investigating the incident. Tension has been running high on the U.S.-Mexican border since the arrival of almost 7,500 migrants in recent weeks. Last month, U.S. border agents used tear gas on a crowd of migrants, including children, trying to cross the border. The agent said that personnel had been assaulted and hit by stones. However, critics accused the Trump administration of a draconian response, while Mexico demanded an investigation into the incident. In the U.S., President Trump tried to shield himself from rising legal heat with tweets insisting that he never ordered his former lawyer Michael Cohen to break the law. He was as combative as ever on Twitter when he sought to distance himself from his longtime former attorney, saying, "I never directed Michael Cohen to break the law." Now, Cohen pleaded guilty in August to charges by federal prosecutors in New York that just before the election, he paid adult film actress Stormy Daniels $130,000 and helped arrange a $150,000 payment to former Playboy model Karen McDougal so the women would keep quiet about their past relationships with President Trump, who is married. Trump has denied having sexual relations with either of the women. Cohen also admitted to unrelated charges of tax evasion and making false statements to banks. But according to Cohen, the payments, which violated campaign finance laws, were designed to bury potential scandal at the height of the 2016 presidential campaign, in which President Trump surprised many by defeating his Democratic opponent Hillary Clinton. Cohen also pleaded guilty to a separate charge of lying to Congress brought by special counsel Robert Mueller, who is investigating possible coordination between Trump's campaign and Russia. Now, Cohen's mother, brother, wife, Laura, children, and other family members filled several rows of the court during the hearing. His daughter, Samantha, sitting directly behind him, sobbed, "The faster I am sentenced, the sooner I can return to my family," according to Cohen, choking on tears as he said he was sorry for the unbearable pain he has caused his loved ones. He said, "I want to apologize to my entire family for what I have put them through. And most of all," he said, "I want to apologize to the people of the United States. You deserve to know the truth, and lying to you was unjust." Cohen also promised to continue his cooperation with special counsel Robert Mueller, who EU is investigating Russian interference in the 2016 election. In other news, EU leaders rebuffed a plea by Theresa May on Thursday to help her sell her Brexit deal to Parliament, warning she must set out exactly what she wants and announcing they would step up contingency plans in case the deal collapses. Now, the British Prime Minister came to Brussels summit a day after seeing off a challenge to her leadership by her own Conservative MPs, but still facing huge opposition to the divorce deal with the EU. She told the other 27 leaders the agreement could still pass the House of Commons next month if they help her reassure lawmakers over a controversial backstop clause on Ireland. Many of May's MPs fear the arrangement for Britain to enter a temporary customs union with the EU to avoid border checks with Ireland could become permanent.
It is not open for renegotiation. The European Council underlines that the backstop is intended as an insurance policy to prevent a hard border on the island of Ireland and ensure the integrity of the single market. It is the Union's firm determination to work speedily on a subsequent agreement that establishes by the 31st of December 2020 alternative arrangements, so that the backstop will not need to be triggered. The European Council also underlines that if the backstop were nevertheless to be triggered, it would apply temporarily unless and until it is superseded by a subsequent agreement that ensures that a hard border is avoided. In such a case, the Union would use its best endeavors to negotiate and conclude expeditiously a subsequent agreement that would replace the backstop and would expect the same of the United Kingdom, so that the backstop would only be in place for as long as strictly necessary.
That in terms of the future relationship, our UK friends need to say what they want, instead of asking us to say what we want. And so we would like, within a few weeks, our UK friends to set out their expectations for us. Because this debate is sometimes nebulous and imprecise. And I would like clarifications. I am still of the opinion that Mrs. May is fighting hard and bravely, but we have not seen results. We don't want the UK to think there can be any form of renegotiation whatsoever.
On the European Union, that's crystal clear. We can add some clarifications, as Donald was explaining, to what has been agreed upon, but there will be no renegotiations.
Now, as British Prime Minister Theresa May battles to save her Brexit deal, an Irish history expert at Trinity College, Dublin, described the developments in negotiations as remarkable, saying he does not believe there has been a crisis like this in British politics for over a century.
I cannot predict what's going to happen. I don't believe there has been a crisis like this in British politics in the last, I would say, 150 years. It's absolutely remarkable. Constantly change. The difficulties that British negotiators have had in Brussels since 2016 has been they don't know what's acceptable in Britain, even if they know what's acceptable in Brussels. Certain Irish officials say to me that typically the British are the best prepared, the best organised bureaucrats when it comes to negotiation. In this case, they are like used car salesmen, but they themselves don't know what's under the bonnet because they have no idea what London will find acceptable.
In the small Scottish fishing village of Pittenweem, residents are worried the political wrangling in London is pushing their dream of Brexit beyond the North Sea horizon. Take a look.
the quota is a bargaining chip, the fishing side. They're all looking at the bigger businesses, car imports, banks. We're not a nothing to the government. The fishing's a bargaining chip, I'd say, the way I look at it.
Although both the surrounding region of Fife and Scotland as a whole back to remain in the 2016 referendum, fishermen in Pittenweem, situated at the mouth of the Firth of Forth, overwhelmingly supported leave.
Yes, I want out tomorrow if possible and stay out, and then want back everything we had. Fishing limits.
Like in coastal communities across Britain, the EU's common fisheries policy and its quotas stipulating how much fish and shellfish can be caught are deeply disliked here, along with foreign vessels being granted access to UK waters.
We don't get to decide what we catch. It's all decided by them, and we feel that they're letting the European boats catch more in our waters than they let us catch in our own waters.
May has vowed Britain will become an independent coastal state post-Brexit, free to catch what it wants, and negotiate access to its waters. Her plan would see the country remain in a transition phase lasting at least 21 months, during which it would continue to obey EU fisheries rules while the future relationship with the bloc is agreed. Fishermen in Pittenweem are skeptical that the deal, which faces blockage in Parliament, will lead to an independent fisheries policy, fearing access to British waters would be traded for no tariffs.
I voted leave to help the fishermen that I felt sorry for down England and up north. But now I see nothing's going to be happening. We're going to use the bargaining chip, the quotas, so I just think I would just vote to stay now if they have a revote.
In other news, the announcement of a ceasefire between Yemen's warring parties in and around the key port of Hodeidah was hailed by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres as a deal which would improve the lives of millions of people. If implemented, the deal on the Hodeidah port, a key gateway for aid and food imports, could bring relief to a country where 14 million people stand on the brink of famine. Speaking on the last day of the UN-led talks in Sweden to decide the future of the war-torn country, where its people are in the grip of the world's worst humanitarian crisis, Mr. Guterres told those present that they had the future of Yemen in their hands.
You have reached an agreement on Hodeidah port and city, which will see a mutual redeployment of forces from the port and the city and the establishment of a governorate-wide ceasefire. The UN will play a leading role in the port, and this will facilitate humanitarian access and the flow of goods to the civilian population.
Here are the main points of the agreement. An immediate ceasefire by warring parties in the port, city, and wider governorate of Hodeidah, held since 2014 by the Houthis. UN Special Envoy for Yemen Martin said a redeployment of both forces will follow, limited to agreed-upon posts outside of Hodeidah city within a maximum of 21 days from the ceasefire. The deal does not detail the posts. The creation of a joint committee supervised by the UN. They will oversee redeployment and demining. The committee chair will report weekly to the Security Council. The UN will also increase its presence in Hodeidah port and the nearby ports of Salif and Raiza and play a leading role in supporting management and inspections at the ports. Port revenues will be channeled to Yemen's central bank through its branch in Hodeidah for the payment of salaries throughout Yemen. And security will be the responsibility of local security forces in accordance with Yemeni law. Impoverished Yemen has been mired in fighting between Iran-backed Houthi rebels and troops loyal to President Abed Rabo Mansouri Hadi since 2014. But the war escalated in 2015 when a Saudi-led military coalition stepped in on the government's side. Meanwhile, the U.S. Senate sent a fresh warning to President Trump and Saudi Arabia by approving a resolution to end support for Riyadh's war in Yemen. The largely symbolic resolution cannot be debated in the House of Representatives before January and would likely be vetoed in any case by President Trump, who has repeatedly signaled his backing for the Saudi regime. In a voice vote with no opposition, the Senate also approved a resolution condemning Khashoggi's murder and saying Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman was responsible for it.
Are there any senators in the chamber who wish to vote?
5 foreigners have been arrested in Bali for drug trafficking, according to authorities, with a German and Peruvian possibly facing execution if convicted under Indonesia's strict drug laws. The accused smugglers, also including a Chinese, a Malaysian, and a Briton, were arrested separately over the past 2 weeks, according to Bali Police. Bali Police said Thursday they arrested 44-year-old Peruvian Jorge Rafael Albornoz Gamara after he arrived at Ngurah Rai International Airport from Dubai last week. Officers found 4.08 kilograms of cocaine that he was hiding inside the interior of his luggage. German Frank Zeidler, 56, en route from Bangkok, was later arrested after officers said they found 2.1 kilos of hashish inside his luggage, an amount that could also make it a death penalty case. Meanwhile, a 45-year-old British designer who was not identified was detained after he received a package from Thailand with some 31 grams of liquid marijuana poured into essential oil bottles. On Saturday, 29-year-old Chinese national Kui Bao Lin was arrested at the airport with more than 200 ecstasy pills and over 160 grams of ketamine found in his bag. Malaysian Hamdi Izam Hakimi was also arrested the same day with a bag containing nearly 15 grams of marijuana and 11 ecstasy pills. The arrest comes less than a month after the first member of the Bali 9 heroin trafficking gang was released from a prison on the holiday island after serving 13 years. The Australian gang's accused ringleaders Muran Sukamaran and Andrew Chan were executed by firing squad in 2015, sparking a diplomatic row between Australia and Indonesia, which has some of the world's stiffest drug laws. Meanwhile, Australians in the northeast of the country are bracing for a severe tropical cyclone. Authorities warned of flash flooding and destructive winds. Cyclone Owen has been strengthening off the north coast of Queensland state in warm waters in the Gulf of Carpentaria and is expected to reach Category 4, defined as a severe tropical cyclone with very destructive winds when it makes landfall early Saturday morning. Emergency services have sent dozens of extra personnel to towns along the expected path of the cyclone. Forecasters predict the cyclone will travel from the Gulf of Carpentaria to Queensland's east coast, bringing destructive winds inland for hundreds of kilometers. The Bureau said the flood watch remained for the area extending from the Gulf of Carpentaria and southern Cape York Peninsula to coastal catchments from Cape Tribulation to Rainbow Beach. The coastal stretch includes popular tourist destinations of Cairns, Townsville, and Rockhampton, many of which are gateways to the Great Barrier Reef. Eagle News International will be right back. Stay tuned.
issue talaga yung talent manager or yung scout.
Ganun po bang yung sinasadya nila na magkaroon ng chismis para sumikat?
Meron pa na po bang mga artista rin na sumasabit sa pila, yung mga nagbibigahaman sa pera?
Paano ba nila pinipili kung sino yung pupwede sa dinami-dami ng batang nag-a-apply? I, me, and you, I, me.
Here we are in New Westminster, British Columbia, with what the Guinness World Record has honored as the world's tallest tin soldier. Tune in to Digital Nest every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 only on Net25. My name is Archie Roasted TV Dad, your EBC correspondent, and I'm one with 25.
Welcome back. The General Council, the topmost decision-making body of the World Trade Organization, met for its final meeting of the year. The agenda had topics such as WTO reform, proposals for the dispute settlement systems operation, and concerns about the blockage in appointing new appellate body members. Discussions take place amid a backdrop of slowing trade growth and heightened tensions in global trade. One day before Director General Roberto Azevedo issued his annual report on trade measures. During the period covered by the report, trade measures covered close to $600 billion, a seven-fold increase over the previous period.
This is the largest coverage of such measures recorded by this trade monitoring exercise since it began. So this should be, of course, of great concern to the WTO membership. We all have witnessed the tensions in the global trading environment over the past months, and this proliferation of trade restrictive measures and the uncertainty created by such actions could place economic recovery in jeopardy. Further escalation would carry potentially large risks for global trade, with knock-on effects for economic growth, jobs, and consumer prices around the world.
The report also found that the estimated trade coverage of import facilitating measures has also risen significantly during the review period and is 1.8 times larger than the figure reported in the previous annual overview. However, this trade coverage is half that of trade restrictive measures, which amounts to $588.3 billion, more than 7 times larger than that recorded a year ago.
I urge members to use all means at their disposal to de-escalate the situation. We may be beginning to see some progress, but as yet we clearly still have quite a way to go. We all need to engage in a solution-finding mode to dissipate these tensions.
Virgin Galactic Spaceship 2 VSS Unity flew higher than it ever has before on Thursday, surpassing what the U.S. Air Force considers the boundary of space. Take a look.
Rolling to the right.
And the news continues here on Eagle News International. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Here's Ben Bernaldez for the latest in sports.
In football, a majority of football federations support increasing the number of teams playing at the 2022 World Cup in Qatar from 32 to 48. FIFA President Gianni Infantino said in Doha on Thursday. Speaking at a press conference after a 3-day FIFA summit in the Qatari capital, Infantino said the idea had widespread backing from associations across the globe. FIFA has said it will make its final decision in March at its next council meeting after the completion of a feasibility study. It has backed a 48-team tournament to become the norm from 2026, when the World Cup will take place in the USA, Mexico, and Canada. He said that Qatar would consider the idea of 48-team World Cup in 4 years' time. About any final decision, he added, of course, the first partner with whom we are speaking about is the Qataris, the Qatar Federation, and the Qatari authorities. Any decision to extend the tournament would be faced by logistical and political problems. The 2022 World Cup, the first in the Middle East, will take place over 28 days, not usual 32 as in Russia earlier this year. And in the NBA, James Harden's monster 50-point triple-double powered the Houston Rockets to a 126-111 NBA victory over the LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers on Thursday. Harden, the reigning NBA Most Valuable Player, added 11 assists and 10 rebounds for his second triple-double of the season and his second 50-point game of what has been a frustrating campaign for the Rockets so far. Houston led the league last season with 65 regular season wins, but came into the contest next to last in the Western Conference. Harden said early season injuries and the addition of new players contributed to the shaky start to the season, but he remained confident that Rockets can be a force in the West. Harden scored 11 points in the fourth quarter when the Rockets, who led 98-8 through the 3 periods, finally pulled away in a game that featured 13 lead changes and was tied 12 times. He pulled down his 10th rebound with less than 90 seconds remaining for the 37 triple-double of his career. Chris Paul added 14 points and 9 assists. Clint Capella added 16 points and 14 rebounds. And Daniel House Jr. added 15 points off the bench for the Rockets. James led the Lakers with 29 points and Kyle Kuzma added 24, but the Lakers saw a 2-game winning streak end. And meanwhile, these are the results of the other games today in the NBA. And these are the stories for EN Sports. I'm Ben Bernaldez, and I am 1 with 25.
In other sports news, fans of the Shanghai Sharks basketball team taunted their Nanjing opponents with a death chant on the anniversary of a 1937 Japanese military massacre in their city, and it triggered outrage and an investigation. Now, the Sharks, best known as the team where Yao Ming made his name before starring in the NBA, apologized to visitors Nanjing Tongshimang King following the abuse on Thursday evening. With the Chinese Basketball Association, or CBA, match going to the wire, home Shanghai fans are accused of shouting at the side from nearby Nanjing. Quote, "Why didn't the Nanjing massacre kill your team?" The massacre is a hugely sensitive topic in China, which says that 300,000 people died in a 6-week spree of killing, rape, and destruction by the Japanese military. Fans and both teams stood in silence before the match to remember the Nanjing victims, and the Sharks said they were deeply sorry for what transpired afterwards. There was no immediate word from the CBA, but Weibo users reacted with fury. One said, quote, "Shanghai should be kicked out of the CBA." We'll be back with more news right after this break. Stay tuned.
Health is our most important.
ugaliin ng pamilya ang responsableng panonood. Teamwork tayo, parents!
Rated G, good for all. Oops, rated PG. Dapat may mga magulang para sagutin ang mga tanong ng kabataan.
Grabe, rated SPG, maselan!
Higpitan ang paggabay.
Pag rated MTRCB, rated responsable.
Hi guys, I'm Ariel.
And I'm Kenneth. And we're your new hosts for The Break Room.
So please watch us every Monday at 7:30 to 8 in the evening. We are one with 25.
Events happen around us all the time. In our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced, eagle news, because we live in interesting times.
The growing industry of creative services has contributed greatly to the growth of the economy. It also provided freelance artists to acquire international projects and to have sustainable career. And with that, one local convention is doing its best to highlight local artists in the Bicol region where arts and technology is blooming. Take a look.
Alday Multimedia Arts Convention 2018 is more on the celebration of creativity here in the Bicol region. So we are showcasing local talents, homegrown brands in our art fair. Actually, AMAC for this year is composed of art fair where we showcase all of our local merchants. So lahat talaga ng merchants namin is talagang tubong Bicol, tubong Albay. And we want them to think outside the box na lumabas sila sa comfort zone nila na kaya naman nila yung crafts and stuff nila na ginagawa is kaya naman siyang makipag-compete sa market. So, yung quality ng products is kaya din makipagsabayan sa labas. Ngayong AMAC 2018, nag-release kami ng augmented reality. So, augmented reality, may mga artworks kami, traditional to digital, tas ginawa ng augmented reality. So, augmented reality artworks, sila yung you're adding materials from real life to digital. So yung mga bagay na nakikita mo with your naked eye, there is much more things pa na makikita mo pag ginamitan mo ng app ng augmented reality. So we have released augmented reality artworks. Sa Art Talks, we have 3 awesome speakers. The topics are how to market yourself as a creative. Kasi mostly sa mga artists na nakita namin is, magaling, pero parang kulang sila sa pag-market sa sarili nila. So we come up na mag-host ng event na seminar, which is topic is how to market yourself as a creative. Then we have, tas ang speaker namin is si Sir Ray Camarquez. Then sa next speaker na invite namin is Sir Mark Anthony Taduran. Tubong Iriga rin siya, so he's also Bicolano, pati si Sir Ray yung nauna. Then, ang topic niya nung seminar is Digital Illustration in Freelancing World. Then we have a guest artist from Manila, si Lay Melendres. He discussed how to overcome struggles in art. So, nagkwento siya ng buhay niya, kung paano siya nakarating dun sa level na yun as an artist. And yung art talk na nangyari is inspires most at maraming creatives, youths dito sa local scene. Hi, I'm Miss Ismael Jerusalem, head organizer of Albay Multimedia Arts Convention, AMAC. We are inviting you for more awesome and creative activities for AMAC 2019 next year. Watch out.
And you can see more of that on Break Room, which airs on Mondays, 7:30 to 8 p.m., only here on Net 25. Meanwhile, Maynard Binaday takes us to KCON in New Jersey, delivering to fans yet another epic festival weekend. Maynard.
Annyeonghaseyo! The 7th edition of KCON USA, the world's largest Korean culture convention and music festival, is being held here at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. Let's check it out.
So Korean culture, I am very interested in a lot of cultures, but very much Korean culture because I just feel like it's very inviting. There's a lot very interesting about it. I love doing Taekwondo. I'm one of the instructors and I'm almost a second degree black belt. I've always been interested in Asian culture, specifically like Korean culture and Japanese culture. It's always like interesting to me. It's like very like calming and I just enjoy everything really about it.
It's special because not only is it more challenging to learn new songs in another language, that's not my main one, it's just like, it has an upbeat tempo, I don't know, it's more fun than just American music.
So now you go online and there's translations, you can interact with your idols. It's like incredible that a culture has brought people all over the world together for music and for just sharing your love of something in common.
Well, thank you for watching. I am Maynard Binaday from the EBC New York Bureau, and I am 1 with 25. Annyeong!
Thank you, Maynard. Meanwhile, the Russian embassy launched the Russian Film Week here in the country to showcase the culture and history. One of the films screened, according to Erlo Bringas, was a true-to-life story about Soviet Army women snipers who fought during the World War II. Erlo?
Here's the one-of-a-kind movies from Russian movie industry launched in a 5-day Russian Film Week in cinemas in the Philippines. Russian Film Week organized by the Russian Embassy with the cooperation of Film Development Council of the Philippines, NCCA, and other government agencies. There is a different genre of Russian film like action, drama, sci-fi, and many kinds of categories that Russian directors creates.
Because this difference is very fundamental and it lies, it's a basis for the entire Russian culture. It is that we are always trying to look deep inside the human soul and basically find out how it ticks. This is what Russian literature, Russian music and Russian cinema always tries to deal with first.
In their 5-day showcase of their film, many of the moviegoers take a big impact after they watch all the films. One of them is the biographical film Battle for Sevastopol, or the true-to-life story film that tells about the Soviet women sniper in the Red Army who fights in the World War II year 1941. New University Communication students marks a positive score after they watch the film, like in cinematography and other kinds of aspect of the film.
Grabe yung Russian film na yun. Parang naka-IMAX kami kahit hindi. Yung parang bumabaril sila pero parang kami tinatamaan as an audience. Tunay nga talaga yung sinabi nila dun sa dapat pagka may Hollywood movie tapos hindi nila iniisip na Russian kaagad yung kalaban kasi iba rin talaga yung kultura ng Russia, and I commend the director and the buo yung production team ng movie. Nice.
Parang naging sisynchronize siya ng women empowerment kung paano dapat equality hindi lang sa babae. Para pinapakita din niya na kaya din ng babae yung kahit ginagawa ng mga lalaki. Okay lang naman yung stigma na itong film. Parang pinakita na yung purpose nila na hindi lang kalaban yung Russia.
The objective of Russian Embassy to conduct Russian Film Week in the Philippines is for them to showcase their culture, history, and other manners that they learned from their ancestors from the past.
That all the films we have brought this time show Russia with the eyes of the Russians. And what I am particularly proud of is that in Russia we don't shoot movies that portray Americans as the bad guys. The only message I can give the Philippine audience is to open up their eyes, to open up their hearts, and to prepare to fall in love with Russian cinema.
Yeah, I hope that in the next year, on the Russian Film Week, we meet more people who will be interested in Russian movies. I think that it's a good form for our friendship in the cinema, in the movie, in the films, and I hope so.
The target of the Russian film industry is to promote their films not just only for entertainment, not to compete, but also to line up in nowadays film industry.
Russian cinema so far is less industrial and more, shall we say, handmade than the American cinema. So at this time it is very difficult to compete.
We're retreating. Do you hear me? Retreating! Our losses are huge! And you will be among them tomorrow!
War isn't only death. War is such a life.
Reporting for Eagle News, Arlo Bringas, I'm 125.
Thank you, Erlo. And with that, we end tonight's broadcast. I'm Almo Angeles, always one with 25. Good night.